Welcome to Always Real Talk. I'm Kwame Brown, and we have been following this new exciting development. People have been talking about it all over the country. What are they? Hey, they're container homes. We know in urban areas, container homes are hot. People ask me, Kwame, what are container homes? Well, I had to do some research, and what I found was one of the only, if the only, African American developer, but we consider her the African American container home developer in the country, is located right here in our region in Washington, D.C., and her name is Dabrielle Goodwin. Dabrielle, welcome to Always Real Talk.
Hey Kwame, thank you for having me on. I watch the show all the time, so I'm excited to be here.
Look, I'm excited. What we're excited about is what you're doing. Now, you and I, we go back sometime, and I remember that I consider you one of the most, I don't want to say aggressive because people get aggressive wrong, but I like your hustle, right? And I like the fact that when you say you're going to do something, you go after it and you get it done. And I remember you talking about these container homes a while ago. You was like, yeah, I want to build these container homes, get some land, and I'll build some container homes. And I was like, okay, we was at near the coffee stop, and I was thinking maybe you had too much coffee to drink because it's Washington, D.C., and I never seen a container home in Washington, D.C., but I said, if anyone could make a container home, make it happen, it had to be you. So walk us through how you got involved in container home development and why is it so important and why is a lot of urban areas moving that direction?
Well, I started out honestly in 2009 with trailers, and they're completely different but similar in nature, single wide and 20 wide trailers. But after that, a couple years later in Alabama, I saw someone do a community, a small little retail plaza, and I went to the University of Alabama. So just being kind of in Birmingham and watching this plaza come to life in the development of it, it was complete shipping container. And after that, I was just like, wow, they never actually moved forward with the development. But since then, it just sparked, sparked something in my head, and I'm just like, I love this form of development. I love that it's, sustainable. These containers, every container we use has been around the world, one time, so it's eco-friendly. And as far as building, we can retrofit them off-site, so it makes a really smooth build, an efficient build. Everything is still done as far as the interior on-site and the utilities on-site, but it's just a really smooth, efficient, cost-effective way of building homes, and
Okay.
it's not just homes.
Okay, now when you talk about container homes, I want people to, it's a container, right? It's one of the
Right.
containers that you see that sometimes people ship them overseas and put stuff in, or they ship them back or whatever. It's a real container, right? And in that container, what is the average size of a container home?
So, an average, there's two sizes that we work with, 20-foot containers and 40-foot containers. And you can, if you want to go with that single studio container, that's typically 160 square feet. And then going on up to the 40, which you're looking at 320. And then you can always build it out or stack them and infuse multiple containers together to do a larger home. It's not that you're limited to this tiny home. And the really cool thing about it is you can clad the exterior so they look, feel, and flow like a traditional home. It's not like a container. You would never know. And it's just a cleaner approach to building.
So are the container homes, because people know what a normal home is, and I'm not going to say that container home's not a normal home because it's a home, right? But
Right.
you get my point. They know what a house that they normally see when they drive down the street and they build it up from the ground. They know what that is. They know what a townhouse is. They know what a single family house is. They also know what a double wide trailer or a single wide trailer is, right? And
Right.
then they know what the stackable homes, right? So they have the homes now that you just, you put the first level in, then you stack the first level up and then pat it down, boom, it's house. What is the difference with a container home versus a trailer home?
Okay, so in the most simple way, the envelope of the container home is essentially just a steel frame envelope, where if you were doing a traditional home, it would be wood frame. And that's really what attracted me to the containers, because if you do the research, it takes longer for steel to completely rust away than it does for wood to rot away. So, from having a more fire resistant product to having one, as long as you continue to treat and keep up it, like with any home, it's really a home that can stand the test of time. I mean, you have containers that have been sitting around for 50, 60, 70 years now that are just out of use throughout the country. So the envelope itself is just a steel frame envelope. Once we move the containers over, we're still doing the stick framing in the inside. We're still insulating the same. We're using a foam and a rigid to double insulate, but we're just making sure that the house, for the most part, it runs, flows just like your same traditional home would with your traditional finishes. The envelope is just a steel envelope, which just happens to be a shipping container.
No, that sounds exciting. Now, some would say they're listening to this, it could be 50 years old or whatever. What is the environmental impact of a container home? Like, in terms of, is it safe from an environmental perspective?
It is safe from an environmental perspective, because you're using a recyclable, repurposed resource. And then in the event that you decide you want to clad like a solar panel, or even, work in a way to make it, your carbon impact for your home like less, you can with the container. And what I mean by that, like if you want to do like a simple, rain water infiltration system, because it's such a small unit and it's easy to kind of manage, like you can. So you have the option with it, you having such a smaller footprint on some of the containers, like, to create a more environmentally friendly world.
No, I got you. I got you. Now, how long does it take from the time you start a development to the time you finish a development? And most developments, you either go in and you start to lay out the homes you're going to buy. You get people who are interested in buying. They buy up front while their home's being built. Is that the same process for a container home, or do you build them and then sell them?
So we do them two ways. We build them and then sell them, but we also do developments for other clients. And we have a variety of products, all container in nature. So if you come to us and you say, hey, I want to build a single family home, that process could be anywhere from 6 to 9 months. Depending on your location, your site. If you come to us, and DC has just passed zoning, it's not recently, but fairly recently, updated zoning regulations that allow homeowners to do tiny homes in their backyard. So this is allowed in any residential ward. So you can put a tiny home right there in your backyard. If you have a parking garage in your backyard, we're getting clients who are calling us who are wanting to stack the home on top of their garages. That way they can create legally an accessory dwelling unit.
So that's almost like they can create like a rental unit. So if I have a piece of property that has enough land on it, I can put pretty much put a 900 square foot or 7. How big are these things? What's the?
So max, you're looking at about 700 square feet average max.
Okay, so I can put, because I was driving down the street one day, I went around the corner, I was somewhere, and it was like this little house. And I mean, I swear the house was like as big as, an efficiency, right? A little bit bigger than efficiency. So you can physically, now legally, put a 500 square foot container in your backyard, pipe it for sewage, pipe it for water, right? And electricity. And then that could be pretty much a rental.
Yes, and our smallest unit is 160 square feet, which is our studio. And the nice thing about that is, um, if you decide to go the federal voucher route, DC has some of the highest voucher stipends. So, and some of the upper wards you're looking at for a studio still almost $1,200 a month.
Now, what would the voucher? Let's walk through that voucher thing. Well, first of all, let's back up. I want to talk about, because I want our viewers to get a clear sense that it's now legal to put a 150 square foot container, home, room, or whatever you want to call it, in your backyard. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And that would be piped in for electric and for sewer, and like they could put a bathroom, a shower, and everything in there, right?
Correct.
And what is the typical cost of, let's just go for a regular, unit that's normally 700 square feet. Would that be like a 1 bedroom unit? Is that what that would be? Or two? What would that be?
So that would be a 2 bedroom unit, the 700 square feet. We start with our studio, which is that 160, and that starts out at about 75,000. And that's everything from your design, all your architecture plans, permitting, up until your actual build. And that's for our base studio tiny home. Now, the mortgage on that is going to run you on average between 290 and 335, depending, the rate that you pick up in today's market. So that's what I was saying for individuals who are like, hey, I really could use an additional stream of income. If you decide that you want a secure, tenant, you either have options. You can go the voucher route to where you can get a government tenant and, hey, I'm getting a consistent cash flow every month. You can go market rate to where you can charge a little bit more. You can go the short-term rental route. Keep in mind there are regulations, but homeowners now really have the chance to make some additional cash flow, and seniors who are, aging in place, you mentioned that 50 plus group, it's a great opportunity for them because instead of, going into a home in which they may not want to be in or being someplace where they're uncomfortable, they can downsize by building a tiny home in their backyard, renting out their main property, or vice versa, and being able to leverage those cash flows so they can comfortably age in place. So I think it's honestly a win-win solution for all parties and a great perk that we've seen. Recently, we've worked with UPO, the United Planning Organization, and what they've done is they've awarded a $40,000 grant to our client to do a tiny home in his backyard, contingent that he keep it affordable for 5 years. So again, affordable falls into that voucher rate. So as long as he keeps, a voucher tenant or keep it at 60% of the AMI, the area median income, or lower, he can continue to leverage those cash flows. So with that 40,000, on a basic home, brings that bill down to almost $35,000. You're looking at close to $150 a month. You're bringing in almost $1,000 a month. Additional, the utilities are separate. You can have everything separately metered so the tenant is responsible and it doesn't run on you. So you can really have some options now to leverage your land.
Wow. That's pretty exciting. It'd be interesting to see if we get all these container homes just in people's backyards. Say, how do I, get some extra money, and instead of going up, right, or going back, you can just stick a container home there and keep moving. What is the downfall to having a container home?
The downfall?
Yeah. It's always a good, I'm not gonna say a bad, but something that people should think about, because a container home may not be for everyone.
It's similar in nature. So I said the design of a container is modular in nature. So for people who do want to get a little bit more exotic in the shape or the flow of their home, the more you cut into a container, really the more you jeopardize the structural strength of the overall container. And when not properly insulated, that's why I mentioned we do that dual insulation with both the foam and the rigid, because when not properly insulated, it can be very, cool or heat resistant, so making sure it is insulated, that way you don't run into those issues, whether it's hot or cold. And then you have, of course, your splits inside, so you can comfortably control the AC, but still being able to make sure the overall temperature of the home remains comfortable.
No, that's awesome. So how can people find you? What is the best way that people can find you if they're interested in doing three things? One, you may be purchasing one of your container homes that you're developing now. Two, they own a home and they're interested in learning more about what the possibilities are based on their square footage of their backyard or space that they may have on their land. Or three, they are maybe interested in finding out more information on how they can work with you to find a way to get those type of grants that will allow them to bring in extra revenue. What is the website?
You can visit us at www.eluvial, and that's ELUVIAL Inc.com.
That's right. It'll be right on the web. You can see it on the screen as we speak. Check her out. Dabrielle, you are doing a phenomenal job. Thanks for coming and giving us an update on those container homes. Once again, you can see her information right on the screen. Give her a shout out. You look at her social media, it's there. Dabrielle, it's good to have you on the show. Love to get you back when those homes are built. I want to come and do a tour of your homes when you get them up, okay?
Well, the ones that are coming soon, keep in mind they're not tiny. They're almost 1,800 square feet, but we'll be in the Marshall Heights area, and we're inviting everyone in the next 3 weeks to kind of join us on that journey.
Oh, awesome. Well, look, we'll be there. So once again, thank you very much. Appreciate you. And we look forward to having you back on the show.
All righty.
All right. Well, there you have it. You want a container home? You want to understand what container home development is all about? You want a partner? You want to find? You want to buy? Doesn't make a difference? Look her up. Good friend, Dabrielle Goodwin. If it's always real talk, you know it's going to be real. It's Always Real Talk podcast show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. We're all there. You see, we're committed to fine-tuning our program while never compromising our ability to give you real talk. Because if it's always real talk, it's going to be real.